Hello, dear perceptive souls. This is Bevan Neiman. I am a life purpose coach for intuitive empaths, light workers, and mystics. I'm also co-founder of 1millionempaths.com, an online private global sanctuary for those who are deep thinkers with huge hearts and want to make a difference in our world. We're providing research and information and content and connection and just upliftment for those who are called to that path of leadership and activism and so forth. Welcome to your life purpose reading. Every day I go into a meditative practice and there's a particular theme or word or phrase that comes out, and today's word was focus. And I always chuckle because it's often a word that I need to embody in my own life. And so I wanted to talk about the story that emerged. I use tarot and oracle cards, and if you're interested, you can get some information in the description box about what decks I use for this. But I loved the story that was emerging today about focus, because obviously with everything that's happening in our world, maybe we've felt, particularly those who are highly sensitive and empathic and sensitive to energy, that things have been really scattered, lots of emotions, lots of uncertainty, and it feels good sometimes to bring ourselves back into focus. I do this exercise where if you feel like, your energy is scattered all over the place, you can literally just kind of put your hands out and feel yourself like pulling all of that back in and bringing that back into your core, right? And we'll talk about that because it sort of shows up in the cards today. But let's kind of go into the story of a person who's awakening to their gifts, their intuitive, empathic, sensitive gifts. And they like, wow, I've had this new realization about myself. I love this card. It reminds me, even though it's not the same numerically, but it reminds me of the Fool, right? The Fool just has this very small um, pack on its back, and he's off on an adventure. He has some tools and some things that he's gathered along his journey. And there's, a big mountain range in the background, but he's not really looking at the destination. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go off and I'm just going to go on this adventure. I'm ready for an adventure. I'm ready for something new in my life. And this is what often happens when we get into a place where we're making some new realizations about ourselves. And that unfolding process happens over time and happens over a lifetime, really, if you're thinking about it. But I love this energy, this fire energy. It's like, I'm just going to go off and I'm going to see what happens. And in the traditional tarot, you actually see, and he has his foot like leaning out over a cliff, right? There's like nothing there. And he's just going to do it, right? He's just going to go for it. He's going to dive in. This is how it felt for me about 7 years ago when I learned that I was highly sensitive and empathic. And I mean, I've been that since I was a child. I think most of us are born into that. But then having this realization and really getting clear about what that means, you start off on this journey and you just take the first step. And, often we come into this energy, which is, you know what, I'm going to dive all in. I'm just going to explore the whole thing. I'm going to try things. And in my own life, that meant that I read tarot cards at holistic fairs, and I went to meditative practices and gong baths. And boy, I went to like everything. I've been to every kind of meetup that you can imagine. It's sort of the wild woman. It's like, you can't cage me anymore. You can't make me fit into this little box of who you think I should be. Like, I am going to be my own person. This is also the journey that we take as a teenager, or when we go off as a young adult and we leave home and we start to go off on our own. This is the beautiful wild woman card, and it's a new beginning. It's like, okay, I'm taking this journey. I'm going to try on different clothes, different personas. Maybe I tried on grunge in the 1990s when I went out to college. I did all kinds of things, right? And this is kind of our expansion. It's like, no, I will not be defined. I will not be caged. And sometimes we try so many things that we get into the spiral. Now, the spiral can be really helpful for us because it brings up repetitive patterns in our life. So even when we set off on a journey and then we get into our wild woman or wild man, whichever one you want to identify with, or wild they, whichever one you want to identify with, um, when we get into that too far and we sort of lose our sense of identity, like we're looking for that identity outside of ourselves. We're looking for it in some kind of external circumstance. And what happens is those same patterns keep coming around and around and around. And each time we experience the same kind of relationship, or, wow, this happened in my last job. Why is it happening to me again? Um, or a repetitive health pattern, or whatever that is for you in your life. And each person has different life lessons. We become a little more sophisticated in our understanding of how we react, what role that we play, what choices we can make, how we can have a different mindset. And we come into this space where the spiral could either be really confusing, could feel like being on the hamster wheel. Oh my gosh, like here we go again. I'm like flushing down the toilet. Or the spiral can be like, this is an opportunity for me to grow. And you see in the middle, there is a focus point. So this phrase that came up, focus, there is a focus point. Everything can be swirling around you, and yet you can be there just in this deeply calm, centered place, knowing who you are. And this is a part of experiencing and going on the path to self-realization, to discovering your purpose here and who you're meant to be. And then we get into this energy, which is the One of Cups, right? It's like a new beginning. It's like, okay, I'm going to come down in. I've experienced all of this stuff. I didn't conform to anything. And now I'm actually going to redefine myself. And I see that I'm this beautiful, divine spark, this light is just glowing here. And you see the dragon, right? The dragon is about abundance, about prosperity. It can fly, so it has this higher perspective of the world. And this is the dragon energy, where we just start to come in, and who you are and who you're meant to be is a treasure. It's this lit treasure, right? It's just gorgeous. And then often what happens is we begin to study. We pick a particular path and we say, out of all the things I've tried, this path seems to be the chosen one for me, at least right now. We think that we have to pick something for the rest of our lives and do it. I think that era, which was kind of my grandparents' era, I think that's gone now. You could see like, okay, that era is dead and gone. It is okay to be a multi-potentialite, a high sensation seeker, a person who has various interests, who doesn't just stick to one thing. But in order to gain some mastery of ourselves, and also of a particular vocation or calling or purpose, we do need to study. Here you see the dragon, looking over his shoulder. And there's an illumination. There's like, okay, I'm going to dive really deep here. So the wild woman, she may be deep, but she's also just having a lot of fun. She's just trying things. It's experimental. It's like, am I this? Am I that? Which personality? And this person is much more serious, much more studious. There's neither anything wrong or right about the two of them. It's just sort of what stage. And as the spiral showed us, we can go back through these stages. So I'm in my 5th career now. So I've done this like 5 different times. I've studied, I've learned, I've gathered mastery, I've taken classes, I've gone through degrees, I've done these different things. And each time there was something new I was supposed to learn about that. But then eventually what we do is we start to realize all of these different things, these different skills, these different interests, this different research we've been doing is all really kind of leading to this one thing in the middle. There is something bigger that is drawing us, calling us, inviting us forward, whatever you want to call it. And everything that you have ever studied, everything you've ever experimented in, any journey you went on, every relationship you've had, every job, every interaction with every person is all drawing in to this, which is how you are here to contribute, what you uniquely bring to this planet at this time. And that's different than what other people bring. You see, here's all the other people and they each bring something different. And here's all the vibrating energy from the collective. but this is you, right? And you start to expand, right? But you're very defined. It's very different than this energy of the spiral where nothing is really defined. It's just kind of rotating. And here it's very solid, right? There's still rotation out there, but you are still, you are contained. You are in your own bubble, your own space. You know what you're good at, and you know how to utilize those skills, right? And then I love this final card, which is so beautiful. And I don't know if you can see it as well, but this is the unity card, right? So you see that she has like the masculine and the feminine energy, a lot of higher self-activation, chakra system completely aligned, a great deal of transformations at the root level. So here, you know, when we're in this space as the Fool, our root chakra is kind of ungrounded. Like we're off on this journey, but we don't have any stability necessarily. And that's okay. You know, we learn a lot from this perspective and we learn a lot from this perspective. But this is the beginning of the journey and this is the accumulation of the journey. And it doesn't mean that you never grow or you never change or transform. As a matter of fact, this is like constant transformation. But at that root chakra level that we're secure, we know who we are. We know what's important to us. We know what we value. And there's an unfolding, right, that happens here. There's just this beautiful, beautiful unfolding. There's this integration of, you know, the knot, this Celtic knot really reminds me of all of this. It's like, okay, I can take all these pieces and parts that I've had, and I can incorporate them and integrate them into this root. The base of this person is a tree, right? It's very deeply rooted and then very transcendent up towards the universe at the same time. This is your way of being. And this is really what your life purpose is. I teach about life purpose. It's not what we do, because when we are in this state of being, when this is what we're embodying, everything we do comes and flows out of this. And you see that on one side is the eagle. So the eagle has that lifted, higher transcendent experience. And then the other side is the wolf, right? Here's the wolf. And the wolf is a little bit of that wild woman, that ow, out in the wilderness. And we incorporate both of those sides. So we have this very transcendent, this very rooted and grounded, a little bit of wild, a little bit of the journey, an embodiment of the masculine and feminine, and a real alignment of our entire energy system into this unification. So if you are, you know, seeking on any part of this journey, whether you're the Fool taking off and stepping out into the unknown, if you are the wild woman who's experimenting, if you're in the spiral going, I don't know where I'm going, or maybe now you have an idea and you're like, oh, I think this might be it. I'm really, really interested in healing work or writing or using art as therapy or or somatic body movement or whatever that may be for you, you know, and you're studying, right? You're studying, you're learning, you're diving deep, and you're working on integration and building this strong inner divine spark, divine glow that has a structure to it as well. Even when there's lots of other things going on, you have a structure and you're working towards this unification of being really confident and secure with who you are, open and authentic and unapologetic. This is what I do. I coach and mentor people to help them move through this journey, to discover that part of themselves, to get unified, to get contained, and to focus themselves in on the next chapter of their life. It doesn't have to be forever, but what is it that you're meant to express in this next chapter? I have a link below if you'd like to schedule an initial life purpose coaching session. You're welcome to do that. And I also have information about joining the 1 Million Empaths community, which is a beautiful high vibrational space. So thank you so much, my friends, for joining me. I thank you for taking time to explore, to go on this journey. It is something you will never, ever regret. It's amazing. It's been amazing for me. It just lights me up, and you deserve to have a life that lights you up as well. Namaste, my friends.